digital and virtual currencies. Now here if you see the terms like digital money, digital currency, virtual currency, or electronic money, they are often we use them uh, interchangeably in our day-to-day life. Now here, when we speak about the e-money or electronic money or the fiat currency, that is the real money, where we use the currency in terms of either coins or paper money of a nation. Okay, that is what is the currency which we use in day-to-day purchasing and is designated as a legal tender. Now here it circulates in the market and is used, it is accepted by the purchaser as well as the buyer in the economy or in the market, we can say. Now electronic money, or we can say e-money, it is a digital representation of this fiat currency used for the purpose of electronic transfer. Now, can you think of the reasons for this change from fiat currency to the digital currency? Previously, we did not have this mode of currency, that is the digital currency, isn't it? Today, most of us, we use it. Can you think of any reasons why there is a change in this, the fiat currency to shift to the digital currency? Today, both the modes are operating in the market. Any reasons? Yes, students? Hello? One thing is, because of penetration of internet, which made it possible, the technology made it possible. That is one thing. Second thing, people also opted for it because many a times it becomes difficult to carry the money due to safety reasons. Isn't it? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
And any other reasons apart from this? When do you feel the usage was more, it increased? Many of us, we use the online payments, isn't it? We use the Google Pay, we use the GPay. Why there was a rise? Do you feel that there is a rise, it's increasing the usage of it or penetration of the digital currencies, e-money in the market? It is increasing, it is penetrating, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
So, since when do you feel that it started to penetrate more? One thing is, as I said, the technology is one of the very important factor. The penetration of technology and the gadgets like smartphone, okay, that is one of the reason. Second thing is the government norm, okay, where government started promoting the cashless transactions. That was one of the reasons where the people started adopting. Now, previously, it was not that people were not using it, they were using it. But since the government influenced the decision, okay, the penetration was seen on a higher side. That is one reason. Second was the pandemic. In the pandemic, people didn't wanted to go out to purchase anything. And this became a very easy platform for the people to opt for. So hence we find that uh, there is increase in the usage of it, or rather shift. Now here we also do have the virtual currency, which is the digital representation of value that can be digitally traded, or it can be used as a medium of exchange, maybe a unit of account, or store value, but it does not have much legal status in any jurisdiction. Now here a digital currency is a generic term that refers to the digital representation, maybe in form of zeros and ones. Now virtual currency basically, there are two types in it. One is the convertible and the other one is the non-convertible. Now when we speak about the convertible virtual currency, it has an equivalent value in real currency or acts as a substitute for real currency. Now here we can take some of the examples like cryptocurrencies, like Bitcoin, or for that matter, Ethereum. So these are the examples in the real world. Now against this, if we think of a non-convertible virtual currency, which is a currency used in specific virtual world or a domain. Now here it cannot be exchanged as in terms of convertible virtual currency. Now many of them, they well-known examples comes from the online games. Now here in these games the success is based on obtaining the virtual money, maybe which is earned by completing a specific act, or using the real money. Now basically a key feature of a non-convertible or maybe virtual currencies, they are centralized. There is a single administrative authority regulating the currency, the issuing of the currency, the establishing of the rules, the exchange rate, tracking payments, or controlling the amount in circulation. Now, in case of convertible virtual currencies, it can either be centralized or it can be decentralized. Now, when we speak of decentralization of the virtual currencies, it is distributed, open sourced, or peer to peer. That is, there is no single authority who monitors it. There are the private organizations or the private players. Now, here when we speak about this bitcoins, okay, this is also an example of it. Now, this is in the growth phase as far as India is considered. Still, the concept is very new. The people are not much aware about it. It is just the initial phase which has started. Now here, when we access the size of the virtual currency market also and take the mature virtual currencies into account, the loyalty points, the credit card points, the coupons, and the digital virtual currencies, they include app-based coins or tokens, the personal information, and the time exchange for these apps. Now, here the problem with the estimates is that it is very difficult to assess the exact values associated with these Bitcoin currencies, although the reasons might be different for it. Now, here one thing is for game based, okay, the exchange rate is a problem here, as many of the companies they do not provide the necessary data for the purpose of reasonable assessment to be done. Now, for bitcoins, the number of coins in the circulation is known, but the exact value uh, depends on the exchange rate, which fluctuates substantially. It can change with the change in circumstances. That is the financial implications. So we can say the value is much more subjective and the market is very volatile. So predictions becomes a bit difficult in terms of Bitcoin exchanges. Now, it is predicted that from $1.63 billion in 2021, the market would rise to 2.73 billion in 2025. These are the predictions. Now, if you might have seen in India also this financial year, uh, the finance minister has made a provision to uplift or include the digital cryptocurrencies. Now, here the digital rupee has it includes a blockchain. It emphasizes on the blockchain technology or lays on the foundation of the blockchain technology where the data is stored in these blocks. Now here a major role is expected to be played by RBI according to new provisions in this financial year. It would be able to trace all the transactions. That is, the government is looking towards maintaining more transparency, like the current system of mobile wallet offered by private companies. Also, the private cryptocurrencies face a problem as far as uh, mentioning it as a legal tender. As far as this national security or financial stability is considered, there is a question of doubt again in these areas. This digital currency exchanges, they are services which allow the customers to trade digital currencies for for conventional fiat money or for different digital currencies. They operate similar to stock exchanges. So among the virtual currencies, Bitcoin is one of them. There are others also. So we restrict this up to Bitcoin only in this case. Bitcoin proposed a decentralized virtual currency. It was first to come up with a decentralized system which offered a usable solution, which is known as a double spend problem. In the virtual currency, double spending refers to the result of spending the same money more than once. Okay. So there is a duplication. Now here it believes that whether the money is held in the digital file format, what prevents a clever user is from duplication of this and again going for the purchases or investments. So that is one of the thing. Again, this is handled by having a central authority review transaction before they are committed. In a Bitcoin, there is no central authority. It relies on an innovative of proof of work scheme that just uses the consensus among the peer-to-peer nodes to verify the transactions and protection against the double spending. Now, if we take into consideration the features or the characteristics of these bitcoins, then they retain its shapes. They are very durable. They retain its shapes, form, or substance over more period of time, so that in future also they will work as a medium of exchange. They are widely used by merchants, traders on exchange, currency exchanges. It's recognized by many countries with their own sizable numbers. Now here, this can be divided into small increments so that the sum of it is equal to the original value of that Bitcoin. This small unit is called a Satoshi. A very small fraction of the whole of the Bitcoin. They are countable. That is, they can be added, they can be subtracted, multiplied, divided. So in accounting terms also, it becomes measurable. Now here when I say accounting, it means that maybe in terms of profit and loss statements, the reflections. Okay, in profit and loss statements, the income, the expenses, the debit or and the wealth and determining the net worth of any entity possessing the units. That is in terms of businesses. One can think of having the total picture as we have in terms of fiat money. Because bitcoins run on the internet, it is a decentralized part. They can be more transportable as compared to the fiat currencies today, which we use in terms of paper currencies. Uh, Compared to that, this could be much more easier. Now, the unit of currency is also interchangeable with all other, regardless of when or where it was obtained from. So, one Bitcoin is same as that of the other Bitcoin, regardless of how it was produced or who holds it. Now, it is verifiable or non-counterfeitable. This means that it's not easily counterfeitable, it's easily detected. This is one of the important key characteristics, and one can say the strength of cryptocurrency. Now, these were some of the features, or we can say the characteristics. It is more like a public ledger. Now, here There is a digital file tracking with reference to every Bitcoin transaction, where the time, the date, who are all the members, the amount, the transfer of ownership of Bitcoins that has ever occurred since the first Bitcoin was issued. Everything is taken into account, it is recorded. So here one can understand from where it is moving ahead. Now, I spoke about the blockchain. So when the data is stored, when the information is stored in block, these blocks have certain limitations as far as their capacities are considered. When the capacity is filled, they are closed and linked to previously filled block, forming a chain of data which is known as the blockchain, and hence the blockchain technology. This term we use for it. So Bitcoin ledger is called as the blockchain. Here it consists of the groups or collection of blocks, each containing a grouping of Bitcoin transactions which occurred during the same time frame, much like a single page in a ledger. These blocks are linked or chained together. Now, these Bitcoins are decentralized peer-to-peer network. Now, here it is the system for exchanging the value basically. It has its own technology, the messaging system built on its peer-to-peer internet network. The messages are sent in terms of transactions. Now here the user should have a private key basically and the Bitcoin address for this. It is a number which is given to that particular Bitcoin and is possessed by the owner. Now here it also has a owner who initiate and just like we use a PIN for the bank account. Okay, when we need to withdraw the money or we insert the card. Similarly, in terms of it, here also it has a private key which is given to the owner. Now, usually it is an alphanumeric string which identifies the recipient of that Bitcoin transaction here. Now, here it includes the input in terms of specifically source transactions, then the amount traded for the Bitcoins, also the output, that is the address of the recipient who will receive the uh, Bitcoin. Now here, apart from Bitcoin is one of the famous cryptocurrencies. Apart from this, there are others also, but the popularity still is restricted. Now, if we look at the advantages or the pros of the Bitcoins, most of them, they revolve around its centralized structure. Now here, main thing is the anonymity. Even though transactions, they are public, the user's name to that encrypted address or signatures are used unless the user wants to make the connection public. So here the things are safeguarded. It is kept within the usage of the user. Then simplifying the financial transaction is the other aspect, as there are no prerequisites or no any minimum requirements for the participation in it. The transaction is possible without any uh, inclusion of bank or any other financial institution is not involved, and they are basically the transactions, they don't have any frictions here. That's why it is more simplified in terms of financial aspects. They are very merchant friendly. It's easy to set up the payment system where the costs are very less. The cost involved is less here. It can also help to support the cross-border transactions as it utilizes the internet. There is no much regulatory confusion over virtual currencies. They are free from the government manipulations. So these are some of the advantages of the Bitcoin. Now coming to the other side of the coin, that is the disadvantage part or the limitations. Now here coming to the limitations, and the first and foremost is they are not widely accepted. The people have lot of doubts about the safety and security issue, as there is no government control yet. Okay, since it is not centralized here, so there is a question from the point of view of general masses of the public. Also, there are doubts regarding the fluctuating valuations. The risk involved is more, and the awareness is not to the optimum level. Here in this case, the transactions are irreversible. That is one of the limitations. Now the pins here called as the private keys. Okay, maybe there is a possibility of loss of it. Like maybe the file gets corrupted or the stolen hardware might be a problem, or whether the disk crashes. So there are these limitations, we can say, are there as far as the technology is considered here. Now here in day-to-day life, if anybody would like to use these bitcoins, then there are limitations because it depends upon the fluctuations of the currency. So this is one of the limitation here. Now apart from cryptocurrencies, it also includes the Ethereum. There is a Ripple. and there is a Litecoin. So these are also the cryptocurrencies which are available. Now this is about the digital and the virtual currencies. Now here even many of the things are not things are unfolded as far as the market for this cryptocurrencies is considered, as the concept is new. Even people are not able to make the judgments about the investments and the uh, use of it basically. Maybe down the line the importance as it penetrates into the market, it will has its own importance and relevance. The people will come to know about the certainties of it today, since the it is based upon the market value and the exchange rate of the currencies. There are fluctuations and hence the associated risk with it. Now coming to the next part is B2C electronic retailing. This is the next application. Now we have moved towards the application of it, of the digital business. So here in terms of internet and the electronic uh, retailing, now here as in terms of traditional marketing, we have a retailer who bridges the gap between the manufacturer and the customers. The companies generally have the wholesalers and the retailers as the intermediaries between the company and the end customers. Now, in case of electronic retailing, the catalog or the mail order is one of the important parameter. Now, before that, if we see the growth in B2C, now basically again the penetration of the IT infrastructure, the penetration of the smartphone gadgets, the pandemic situation, and the approach of the people, the demonetization, all these factors have led to the penetration or growth in this B2C electronic retailing. This online mode of purchase or cashless transactions basically were boosted to bring up the transparency in the transactions by the government, which boosted the importance of digital model of business. Today, people are more inclined to use the digital money or the e-money. Now, through the catalog or email order, the companies try to reach the masses, enter the market, reach the customers. Now, whenever a customer just browses the internet, the customer wants to purchase something, he can just enter the website of the manufacturer or the intermediary. That is an interface between the customers and the manufacturing company. Just they need to tap the search point or a keyword in the search, and there would be a list which would be available. So here, just when the customer enters any of the portals, the first page which you will see is the interface or the e-tailing part, which helps the manufacturer to sell the goods to the customers. Now, India is the eighth largest market for this electronic retailing business. It has seen a rapid growth in the last 4 to 5 years. Now, when the customer enters on the portal, he would first see the catalog, but then this, after entering the catalog, there should be the segregation or the assortment of the goods, wherein easily through the drop boxes, the customer can enter that particular zone of product portfolio. It should not happen that the customer just keeps on searching for the goods. Now today, many of the companies go for uh, click and brick model. Both the models are opted by the organizations. Now, since everybody is behind tapping the market and tapping the customers, basically, they use more than one modes of channel of distribution to reach the end customers. Now, previously it started with just selling the books online. Today, if we see, there are many more products which are sold. If you consider just Amazon interface like Amazon, you will find that uh, it has a huge potential to attract the customers, as well as a bundle of products are offered, where basic objective is that the customer should not be left out, or the customer should not exit without purchasing any of the products. Similarly, more of the services are also offered through this medium. Now, one more, the brand name, the digitized formats, that is how conveniently a customer has an interface with the company, or how at the convenient rate the customer can place the offering, the order for that particular offering is a important factor here. If the process is more complicated, the customer will not enjoy the online mode of purchasing. Also, at the same time, many of the companies also give the schemes like discounts by emphasizing the customer gets the offering at the cheaper cost. Now, if one takes into account the different factors, now for the internet marketing, retailing, there are no bindings as far as the area or the constraint is considered. One can think of having the uh, global customers also. Similarly, as far as the revenue part is considered, here in terms of physical purchasing, maybe there are more window shoppers. Even that is possible here also in the online mode. With the advent of technology, even the customer seeks to verify the offerings, to compare the offerings. And in terms of customer complaints, in the traditional modes, there is face-to-face communication, but here there is less contact actually. If there are grievances, they can be sorted out. And with the help of internet, they go a step ahead from the traditional mode to solve the issues. Then and there itself, as today, people opt for quicker medium of communication. Through internet, it gives a large option to the customers. As more options are available, it gives rise to the thought of comparisons. People basically like to compare in between two or more products. It is a time here in these terms, it is time consuming. Also, the supply chain mechanism differs here. Now, in terms of online mode, the process part is more important as it is linked to the supply chain and the supply chain cost. Similarly, as compared to the traditional means, the customization is possible through the online mode. As today there are, one can easily view the image or a video and think of moving ahead with the customization, where the customer according to their own preference or choice can think of changing through this digital medium. Many a times the the price is also less as the margins are directly passed on to the customers. So there is no expenditure as far as the intermediary is considered, as far as the margins are considered. Now here the major advantages of this e-tailings are like the product, lower cost product is available through this online mode. Because of the penetration increasing, internet penetration, even it has become much more simpler or easier for the people to operate. One can think of quickly changing the uh, virtual background, the virtual presentation of any offerings. There is the flexibility available because of the technology today. As there is no maintenance of much warehouses, the supply chain cost gets reduced automatically. When the customer's complaints cognizance is taken on time, when the companies are on the toes to serve the customers, it becomes much more easier and simpler for the companies to operate. Even from the customer's point of view, they feel relieved as immediately their queries are solved. And the companies also understands what are the reaction of the customer, whether they have like the product, whether they have understood the particular concept. Now, from the customer's point of view, also it becomes much more easier to find a variety of products through these online stores by visiting this online retail outlets, or we can say online catalogs more appropriately. Here, since many varieties are available, the customer has a wider choice to make from. There is no need for them to move from one place to other. They can also purchase certain products in groups. Now here, the referrals play a very important role in the online purchasing part. Many a times it becomes influential when the customer thinks of opting for the product. The reviews, the ratings help in purchasing the particular offering without lagging as far as the time frame is considered. Now, this is about the advantages of e-tailing, also the limitations of the e-tailing. Now, any doubts up till here? Now, these are all the applications of digital business part. Hello. Now, in the next session, we will continue with some other field or some other aspect of application of digital business or digital mode of business. Now, today, if you see that most of the manufacturers, they are opting this digital mode to reach the customers, as it gives an advantage to penetrate at a quicker pace in the market. Also, one can think of offering the goods at a lower cost. And hence, we see that there are more switching from the offline to the online mode. Now, today we will stop here, students. Any doubts?
No, ma'am.
Okay.